Ich bin hier jetzt mit Gary Platner, das ist der Lead Environment Artist für Mists of Pandaria, und Jason Hutchins, Game Producer. Und die haben sich ein bisschen Zeit genommen, werden ein paar von meinen Fragen beantworten. Hey there, how are you doing?
Hi. Did you want?
Yeah, I think we start with, you pass it along, the
Okay.
microphone, right?
Sure.
Okay, so first question, of course, is now the project is done. You've been working on that for quite a time now. And what's it like to just have that baby now out in the stores? The people are going to rush in and buy that like crazy, as always. What's that feel like?
Well, it is like a baby. I love that you said it like that. It is a very personal thing. Every project feels like that. And this is the most exciting time to actually see the fans and meet the people that enjoy our hard work. It is fun. It is my favorite part, especially to come to another country and meet people that from all over the world, really, that enjoy doing the same thing we did. You know, when we first shipped, and we first did our first shipping party in Fry's in Irvine, we didn't expect 5,000 people to show up. And it was a very big surprise, and we weren't prepared for that many people. And that was super exciting. But I have to tell you, every expansion launch has been just as exciting as that, because we put so much into every expansion. And this one especially is our biggest one ever. Not only the content and what the player is going to experience, but the way we've built this expansion, how we've worked on it, and how we've perfected the process of making this game has been improved and iterated and improved every year. And so this is definitely the biggest expansion we've ever done in every way you can think. Not just me saying that, oh, it's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of things we did on the art team, especially, to get the game done quicker, more efficiently, and just look better.
So it's not like you're just, oof, it's done, now I need a break, but you still kind of are in the process just looking how other people are going to react, or are you actually working on the next content updates?
I don't know what I can say what I'm working on next, but
nothing specific.
We are working.
You're working.
We're always working. We are trying to, we want to keep supporting this game as long as possible. But it is a nice little break now that we're done, to see how people react, to see how people reacted in the beta, and to really get a first-hand view of what people appreciate and what people like. It's fun. Did you want to? No.
Anything you want to add, or was that perfect?
We also get a chance to really play it ourselves.
That's true.
Yeah. We're our own biggest fans. We're our own biggest critics. We're doing everything we can to make the game as good as we can, and we're very excited to be here in Germany to share it with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now you're starting to level your own characters. And
well,
we can't.
I will when I get back home to California.
Now.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Otherwise, I would be playing at midnight. Yeah.
And can I just ask for
Oh yeah.
What is your main character?
My main character? I play very badly a protection paladin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very badly. Yeah.
I'm not very good. Yeah.
Thanks you for that.
So the Pandaren, the new race, I was a little bit surprised when the first rumors that it's going to be Mists of Pandaria as the new add-on was, I think, a year ago, when people found out that the trademark was licensed, kind of. And then when people said, no, that's not going to be the Pandaren, they were an April Fools. So how did that come to be that the funny little bears who drink a lot of beer now are a major add-on?
You want me to take that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Pandaren Pandaria actually has a longer history than just the April Fools and just the trademark application. Samwise Didier is the art director on the StarCraft team. At the time, was also I think art director on Warcraft 3, which is the game we put out before StarCraft 2, but right after StarCraft. And he did a beautiful drawing of a Pandaren. Kind of a very kind of lone wolf and cub, if you're familiar with that. Yeah, it looked like that with a little baby on his back, and that was kind of the first instance of that. And that was so popular around the office that became a character and a different take on that character in Warcraft 3. So it predates that. And so we were really happy to take a look at the Pandaren and kind of delve deeper into that culture and look at what we could do to just make it awesome. And I think it's going to have I know it has a very kind of broad global appeal. We're also big fans of martial arts movies, and so it was good to be able to explore all that as well. I don't know if you want to talk about any of the...
Sure. Like most of the other races and the other classes and other things that we introduce, pandas we had thought about years ago, and we had even done a few concepts and a few things. So when we finally decided to do it for this expansion, it was very exciting because the panda brings with it an Asian culture that has a lot of resources that we can use. So when I'm making, or my team rather is making all of these zones and all these exterior worlds, we're trying to look to real world places. Like I mentioned Grizzly Hills, for example. The design was just a forest. I said, well, I wanted to make a redwood forest. So we sent a guy up to Northern California. He took a bunch of pictures of all the redwoods. And we got our color palette based off those photographs of these big trees and the particular kind of green and the particular kind of red bark on the tree. So it was a great resource. So we've done that with almost every zone we've made. So when we did the Pandaren zones, we had all this great resource material from all around Asia, all around China, like Chinese landscape paintings or brush style paintings. All that influenced us for how we were going to make our mountains, how we were going to make our waterfalls, and the different grasslands and farmlands and other things. We had all that resource material to draw from. So it was really fun and easy for everyone on the team to understand what we were trying to make.
I noticed that it's really close to the Chinese originals, kind of like the building, the tiles. It looks very, very familiar if you've ever been to China. So I wondered, were you actually there? So did you send a guy over to take pictures of all the temples and old buildings?
No, sadly, I never got a chance to go to China for that. There is a lot of resource material outside of China that we use. There's photographs, there's paintings, like you said, architecture. And you have to remember, it's not China that we're doing. It's Pandaria, and it's not pandas. They are Pandarians, so they're kind of related to having a strong Asian influence.
Yeah. You also created at least some signs of a scripture that looks Chinese but isn't. I imagine that's very complicated to get that done, or was it just put some brush
No,
together?
we did that very consciously. We actually made a little language and an alphabet, and all those letters say something. We did something similar with almost every race, where we had to do some sort of signage. We try to avoid signs in general anyway. We can't put any words on anything. You have to mouse over them. Yeah, because of localization, we call it. Yeah, so every country has a different thing. But no, it was fun. The brush strokes of an alphabet is very artistic, so we wanted to include it in the architecture and in the murals and other things. We considered it necessary as part of the culture kit. So that's why we did it. I think we did some Worgen stuff as well before, just as an example. It's not the first time we've done it, but Draenei stuff, we did a language for them as well. That's right. Yeah, there's a few others, so it's definitely not the first time.
So the final look of Pandaria now is almost incredibly pretty.
Oh, thank
so,
you.
So is there is there a tourist route? Is there any spot that you'd say that is the best place to go and take your screenshots?
Good question. I wish we did. If you've ever been to Disneyland, they actually have a sign that say, "This is a good spot to take a picture." That would be a cool thing to actually do. Well, that's an interesting thing, and it is something I'm conscious of, that we're all trying to make a framed spot. So when you're walking, like and you're doing your quest, we know where you're going to be, and we try to frame the first time you see a new zone we're very careful how we introduce that. So when you first walk into a new zone that's completely different from the one you were in, we want it to feel like it's going to define the look of that zone. The first time you see it, so you can understand what's going on with this zone. It's like a picture frame that we're thinking of, especially around Pandaria, when we know the players will be, for the first time seeing it, they'll be walking, they won't be flying around. So we have a little more control, like we did in Vanilla WoW, of what you see and how you see it for the first time. That's a great question, because it's very important to us how you see things for the first time. Because we're trying to tell a story without telling you the story. We just want to show you something, and you should be able to understand what's going on with the visuals and with the music as well. The music can tell you if a zone is dangerous or if a zone is hot or cold, or there's a lot of insects. There's a lot of sound effects and music that'll help us fulfill that story role.
Yeah, but not only in design, but also in the way the whole expansion is structured. It's very different to the last part with Cataclysm. You reworked whole parts of the world, but now it's more about exploring. How did you build that after that really, really awesome and epic part of Cataclysm? Now that's a little bit more downtoned. What was that like?
One of the things that we wanted to do with Mists of Pandaria is to go back to almost our roots from the original Warcraft, especially the old real-time strategy games, Warcraft, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3 even, where it's a very focus on Horde versus Alliance. So what that means isn't so much that there's a big bad guy at the end, like we had with Cataclysm. This is more of a way to tell the story so that people kind of need to choose what their side is going to be, which is that ties into lots of things about what we did, like the neutral starting zones for the Pandaren. You don't have a faction, but then you learn what the struggles of the Alliance are, and how awesome the Horde is, and then you decide which one you're going to pick. I'm showing my bias, aren't I? Anyway. So that's we did a lot of that. Yeah.
How does that work? Because it's more focus of Horde versus Alliance, but the Pandaren are on both sides, and they're kind of a peaceful culture, very laid back, more about drinking beer and having a good life than going into battle.
So the Pandaren are very focused on the moment. But at a certain point, I think even the most focused person has to kind of take a side, and they notice that conflict there in Pandaria, a land where the land is so sensitive to what's going on. The Shah rise up, which is the kind of negative energy from emotion, right? And there's basically they have to kind of deal with that. And there's kind of two ways to do it. Like the Horde has an idea and the Alliance has an idea, and then they pick.
Also, you already brought up the Shah, and that design is radically different from the usual Pandarian design. That is very peaceful, very beautiful. And how did you come up with that? That's very dark, and then the white outlines. How did that come to be?
Well, that was a long iteration process, and that's exactly what we wanted it to be, opposite of what the Pandarians were. We actually went through a lot of iteration. We had different colors. We were trying purples and reds, and then we were trying like white smoke, and how do you illustrate anger? This opposite. So we kind of did a sort of a negative look to something like an opposite black and white visual with the touch of little blues and things. It's part of the iterative process that we've gone through with everything. We kind of pride ourselves on that. We'll experiment with certain looks and certain things in the world. For example, how we make a zone. We'll have a concept and like a painting, and then we'll try to build a zone based on that painting, and we'll try to get as close to that as we can. And then we build all the elements that go into the zone, and then we'll sit back and look at it. And sometimes we'll hate it. We'll just be like, no, we just don't like it, because you have to remember we're our own fans too. We love playing the game, and we want to see and play stuff that we like. So sometimes we'll go through an entire process and just not like it for whatever reason. So the Shah went through that. All the zones went through it. I think with the Shah, we completely changed their look at least 3 times until we were happy with the final version you see now. So it's a long process, but it's creative. So I think that's a little different than what a lot of other game companies tend to do. We want to give ourselves the room to try something and completely finish it and then get rid of it and try something else and keep doing this iteration until we feel it's up to the Blizzard standard.
Okay, so rather take your time than rush.
Take our time until we all think we like it, then we're good.
So, as the few last questions, or maybe the last question, because we're running out of time, is so people are going to wait. What's going to happen in the future? What's going to happen with the Horde, with Garrosh gone bad, actually? And in the novel that just came out, The Fall of Theramore, it looks like Bane Bloodhoof is also leaving, kind of. Is there anything you wanted to hint on what's going on with the Horde, or?
Do you have anything you want to add?
I'm not really a story guy. I work with the engineers, but you mentioned earlier that the Cataclysm had kind of a bad guy. Clearly, Garrosh is not, I don't know, in his right mind. There are problems with Garrosh's rule, so I would expect to see something happening with Garrosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't be very specific.
Okay, we'll be looking forward to it. So thank you guys for the interview.
Thank you very much.
And